I'm aware that the title for this video might seem like clickbait and the thumbnail, and obviously I need to bring your attention to this video, but I can assure you everything we're about to go through is exactly as described in the thumbnail and title, which is what makes this so terrifying. So in September of this year, the UK government passed the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill. Now, the idea behind this is to provide some protections for children, and it's mainly focused around legislation that does in fact protect children. Now, there's a number of things within the bill that don't protect children and basically require databases of children to be collected, stored and managed, and it's really dystopian. And like I said in my last video, we'll talk about that next week. But there's two key problems with this bill, and we need to just go back a little bit first. So in yesterday's video, I spoke about how in this bill they want people to basically need to prove their age to utilize VPN services. So if you want to download a VPN, this new bill and the amendments that they're putting into effect would require you to scan a piece of ID to verify your age in order to be able to download a VPN. Whole idea behind this is to make sure children aren't using VPNs to access naughty content. But a byproduct of that is every single legal adult in the UK would need to submit a copy of their ID to use a VPN, which the whole point of using a VPN is partially privacy and to remain anonymous. So where the government have said repeatedly that they have no intention on banning VPNs, they're going the backdoor route with this to essentially make VPNs pointless. Now, another amendment that's been made to this bill is the requirement for companies like Apple or Samsung to be able to access our camera roll and private images and to report us to the police, and therefore the police would have access to our images. Now, before we get into this legislation, if you do not want to have this to come into effect on your device, if you want your device to appear like you're in a different country, make sure to check out private internet access VPN in the link down below. Essentially, if you get a VPN now, obviously you can use my link, which supports the channel, or you can use any other link for good VPNs out there. Effectively, you'll be transmitting your location from your device as being outside the UK. So a lot of these dystopian laws and regulations that are looking to come into effect over the next coming years, whatever it might be, won't apply to you, because you won't be accessing the app stores from the UK. Your device will be accessing the app stores from other countries. Using my link down below, you get 4 months free and 86% off. Private internet access, don't keep any logs, and they respect and maintain your privacy. I spoke to a lot of people at Private Internet Access. They're a dope company and they genuinely care about your personal freedoms. Now let's talk about the actual legislation itself and what this bill means. So in this bill that was passed in September, the main goal of it was to basically keep school children safe. There was a number of things in there about, having databases to make sure children are protected in certain places in school and outside of school. And there was a lot of really good things in there. But around the core fundamental good things, there was a load of shit. Things like the government claiming that to keep children safe, they must collect every single child's personal information and store it in a database, to allow different systems to talk to each other, to communicate about children's files and share that around multiple different organisations, whether it be the NHS or the government, whatever it might be. Essentially, to keep children safe, they must compromise children's privacy. Now, this legislation got passed because from a government level, there was nothing really majorly offensive in there. And what these political parties tend to do is write a piece of legislation which looks pretty innocuous, just pretty simple, get it passed in government, and then they start issuing the amendments. The amendments are the changes that they want to make to that legislation, and it's easier to get an amendment approved than it is to get a piece of legislation passed. So you get the legislation passed first, and then you make little tweaks and amendments. Now, one of the amendments that has been put forward to be added to this bill is the VPN thing that we discussed yesterday. But another thing that has been put forward to be added to this bill is basically a piece of software that would require companies like Apple and Samsung to scan your images, scan your camera roll to assess whether you've been taking pictures of children inappropriately. Now, before we actually go into the legislation, I need to say one thing. If you're doing anything like that to children, you deserve to rot in jail. You are a disgusting human and I want the worst for you. But, and this is a big but, treating everyone like they're guilty in the hope you catch someone like that is not the answer. Let's talk about the legislation, and you'll have to forgive me getting very angry about this. It's something that I'm very passionate about. After clause 27, they would like to insert the following new clause. So this is the amendment that they want to add to the bill. Action to promote the well-being of children by combating sexual child abuse material, CSAM. Within 12 months of the passing of this act, the Secretary of State must, for the purpose of promoting the well-being of children, make and bring into force regulations which require manufacturers, importers, and distributors of relevant devices to satisfy the CSAM requirement specified in subsection 2. The CSAM requirement is that any relevant device supplied for use in the UK must have installed tamper-proof system software which is highly effective at preventing the recording, transmitting by any means, including live streaming and viewing of CSAM content using that device. Now, you may be wondering, if you're taking a picture of, I don't know, your child at the park, how do they know that that picture or image or video is appropriate? Well, this is where it comes into how they actually regulate and implement this new piece of legislation. The way that they're planning on doing it is basically by requiring people like Apple and Samsung and other phone manufacturers and distributors, companies like EE, BT, whatever it might be, to scan what those images and pieces of information are to ascertain whether it is something illegal. Now, if this is a case of Google scanning Google images to make sure nothing like that appears, somewhat understandable. Private business with their private information on their private platform. But when it comes to scanning your personal messages and going through all of your images that you've taken or in your camera roll to ascertain whether you've done something illegal, you're essentially breaching your privacy for them to go through all of your private information, all of your private photos, and basically have hands-on access to the camera in your phone to then be proven innocent. Now, once again, I do need to make it 100% clear. If someone is caught with inappropriate images like that on their device, I believe that they should face the full wrath of the law. But treating everyone like they've committed that crime and going through everyone's private images and having access to people's cameras in the small chance that you might catch one is an invasion of privacy. To be clear, if everyone in the UK was required to book themselves into their police station now, head to their local police station, and the police officer was to go through all of our text messages and photos, yes, the UK would actually probably be safer, because you'd catch all of the people doing really harmful things. You'd be able to gain access to all sorts of private information. A lot of people would end up behind bars rightfully. But then you look at the cost. Everyone's been treated like a criminal in the hope you catch a criminal. Also, over the course of my life, I've sent some pretty edgy memes, and obviously that is a crime in the UK. Going back to what I said at the start of the video, I know like titles like this and thumbnails, they feel clickbait, they look clickbait, and it looks like I'm trying to rage an audience into engaging with this video, but it's really difficult to do this when I want as many people as possible to see these videos. I want to talk about these topics that I care about, and digital privacy is a massive thing for me, hence the mask. But it's so difficult to not diminish my content down to the thumbnail and title. And I think these new laws and regulations, especially in the social media age, they play a part in this. It means that as creators, we have to play into the algorithm while talking about serious topics, because I know, for example, certain colours in my thumbnail will perform significantly worse than other colours. The colour red performs worse than the colour yellow. White outline over an image performs better than no outline over an image. Things like this are really important to gaining views on YouTube, but when talking about topics that are so serious like this, it kind of feels like, in a sense, I'm kind of helpless. I want to make these videos and I want to show you guys, but it feels disingenuous to put the big title on the big thumbnail, because it's like, okay, I'm doing this to get views, but I'm doing this to get views because, one, it's my job, of course, but secondly, there's a bigger picture here. This legislation speaks volumes to the current state of the UK. Legislation gets passed, like the Online Safety Act 2023. That didn't have ID verification in it. It didn't have face scans in it. They passed the amendment this year in July, which was a massive shift for the Online Safety Act in the UK, which is what we're all opposed against. But then to appeal the Online Safety Act, we have to go through all of these loops and hoops and jumps to make it abundantly clear that we're not saying everything about the Online Safety Act is bad. We're saying that the idea of having to hand over your private information to verify your age is bad. The same thing applies to the Child's Wellbeing and Schools Bill. We're not saying that everything about the bill is wrong. There are things that are in that bill that are genuinely good, and they would protect children. But when you start adding bullshit to it, like having to verify your age to use a VPN, or having to allow third-party companies or device manufacturers to be able to access your images to prove that you're not a nonce, these are things that are massive invasions of privacy. Now, when will all of this go through? Well, over the past 2 days, all of these changes have been proposed, and basically that will go through Parliament, and they will decide whether to add that to the Child's Wellbeing and School Bill. Like I said before, there's a video coming next week which is going through the full bill and some of the core issues with it that many organisations and like activism groups have spoken out well, quite loudly against. But I was shocked to find out that I haven't seen videos about this. People aren't talking about this, and people should be talking about this. This is huge. I'm currently talking to a few organisations, and my main video next week will go through everything we've just gone through now, plus everything else in the bill. That'll probably be a half an hour, 40-minute long video, but I want to kind of make that piece the focus piece of this bill that covers all of the issues with the bill, and from there we'll talk about petitions and how to overturn this, because I know some people are currently in the process of registering petitions and getting everything set up, and yeah, we'll go through all of that. Anyway, thank you for watching. Check out Private Internet Access VPN at the link down below if you want to make sure that you're not as affected by this as you would otherwise be. Also remember, you get 4 months free and 86% off, and I shall see you all in the next video.